And welcome to Crypto's Got Talent Semifinals, Episode 2. I'm here with my co-host, Aaron. This is Deep in Jesus. We're super excited to be here. Last week was incredibly successful. I think we had a great time. The projects were incredible. I think this episode is going to be, I think, equally as good, at least. Aaron, how are you doing today? Muted.
Doing amazing. I think the format really worked last time. It was our first semifinals episode. Loved the backgrounds that everyone brought to it, the custom backgrounds, the purple on purple. Had some great feedback from all of our sponsors. So would love to run it back again today and hear from some amazing projects.
Yeah. So as you could see in the banner, today we have Gargoyle, we have Traxa, we have DeCharge, and we have Datagram. So I think it's going to be action packed. Each project is going to take about 15 minutes. They have some videos that we're going to show that basically do a little bit of demoing of the products. And then on stage with us today, we do have Leonardo from CMC and Shai from Near. How are you guys doing today?
Yeah, doing well. Thanks for the invite. Very excited for the second semifinal.
Yeah, thank you. Both of you guys were part of the phase one. I think we had both, great episodes. So I'm glad to have you guys back for this. You guys already seen some of these projects, so I'm excited for what's next. But before we do anything, I want to obviously thank our sponsors. So Polygon, AgLayer, Samsung Next, Eliza OS, and Masari, and obviously IoTex. And I also want to do something, which is play our mega intro music.
Yeah, Crypto's got talent. Deep in Jesus and Aaron on my kettle. Let's find the next big bang. Around the block, seeing projects come and go. Most of them basic, nothing special, just for show. But tonight we're different, half a milli up for grabs. Got the stage all set up, watching projects place the tabs. Every founder nervous, ripping slides with shaking hands. Some got innovation, others just got master plans. Me and Eric posted, checking every single spec. Gotta find out winner, put respect upon the tech. Looking sharp in these designer fits. Rating projects like we're taking hits. On that judge's panel, keeping standards mighty high. Cause Neo will mix it, seen too many say goodbye. Welcome to the talent show, where James can build $500,000, gonna make some dreams fulfill. The PM Jesus and Aaron, yeah, we keep it real. Show us what you got now, make that crypto deal.
Make that crypto deal.
Let's go.
All right, let's go. Awesome. Guys, thank you. It's so funny because we do the live stream and then some people can hear the music and some not. So if you were nodding on tune and on beat, you guys are amazing. So thanks for supporting. I could hear it this time. Last week I couldn't.
Yeah, this time I couldn't hear it, so I was out of it, but tried my best.
I was waiting for Aaron to make the crypto deal cue last week to end it on time, but I'm glad we figured it out. Guys, you want to just intro yourselves maybe? We were supposed to also have Brandolph, who's a Web3 strategist, but he's sick. So best wishes, best recovery, and Brandolph will have you soon, as soon as you get better. But yeah, Leonardo, maybe if you want to introduce yourself, then Shai.
Yeah, for sure. Hey everyone, I'm Leonarda. I run accelerator programs at CoinMarketCap. They're called CMC Labs and CMC Launch. But been in the crypto venture capital space for a while now. So been dealing with a lot of deal flows and due diligence. So this is definitely something very familiar with me. And yeah, very excited to start the judging. Thanks.
Thank you. Shai?
Hey there, everybody. Nice to meet everybody. I'm a principal ecosystem architect at Near, working within our founder success team. I have the fortunate opportunity of really owning our technical enablement strategy. And so that means if you're a builder in the Near ecosystem and broader, and you want to build with the cool Near tech or the broader ecosystem that we work with and collaborate with, including many of those on the sponsoring today, I'm the one that helps you get connected and really helps you understand the ecosystem as a whole. And really owns the strategy moving forward. So you'll see me a lot in hackathons and different events that we're doing in the future. I've been in IT for almost 30 years. The last probably since 2018, deep in the Web3 and crypto space. Helped launch Amazon AWS's solution architecture teams, the go-to-market teams around the space, the partner organization. And in the last particularly 2 to 3 years, I've been working specifically with AI and blockchain founders in various incubators and starters and helping founders get their product from their head to actual market and ensuring that it is delivering on a problem that the industry needs or a problem that the society or humanity needs. So very passionate about the intersection of blockchain and AI. And of course, DPIN plays a lot of that because it's kind of the foundational layer of a lot of things that we do in the future. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. How do we follow that? I'm gonna skip my intro, but Aaron, I mean, I don't know. Do we need an intro? I think we've been at this for a while. I think we're good.
Yeah, I think they know who we are by now.
Yeah, exactly. Deep in Jesus and Aaron on the mic. Let's do it, guys. So first up, we have Mike from Gargoyle. We're just gonna play a quick demo of Gargoyle, and then we'll come here and drill.
All right, hey, Mike Friday here from Gargoyle Systems, co-founder. So this started out as I got Matteo years ago when I was working at Empire DAO. He was working on a project. He's an engineer, systems engineer, used to work for Hyperloop and then Oceanics, and they were building these floating cities. And while they were building those, he had to have drone detection. These were in South Korea, so they had drone protection against North Korea, underwater, and in sky. In the meantime, when we would go back up for coffee, I was telling him how a friend of mine got robbed in LA. They took the safe out of the second floor, and they used a drone to case him out to see when he was leaving and during the robbery, because why would you not have eyes in the sky if you were going to rob somebody? So this led this whole rabbit hole of, all right, surely there's a ring or nest for drones. There's not. So we started creating it. And then we realized really quickly that this needed situational awareness for all cities, airports, et cetera. And they wanted a decentralized node structure of getting data of where drones were, not only just for security perspective, but also to build out the future lanes on the skyway to improve mobility for these eVTOLs that people can fly around in for delivery of drones, et cetera. So if you picture let me flip over to this scene in The Fifth Element. If you remember this. Right, so there's kind of to show you kind of the layers of what we're thinking. This is what we're doing in terms of how we're building out detection for drones above, but also long term being able to create that advanced mobility. So our first product, the G1, G2 actually, is it detects using radio frequency and acoustic to know when a drone is there. A lot of drones, they could go off radio frequency, and that's why we use acoustic to hear the sound of it. It's kind of like the bird ID if you ever use one of those apps. But these are going out. Initially, we've got a backlist of customers just for the security. They don't understand DPIN. They don't want the rewards. They just want to solve their customers' problem. These are security professionals who want these for their clients. So these are casinos, hotels, private estates, HOAs around golf courses that have been hit with robberies. So they want to create a drone zone for security purposes only. Now, again, going back to the airports, we saw how much they're spending, a ridiculous amount just for radar protection. So radar is still necessary, but you need, for the smaller drones, you need radio frequency and acoustic detection. So that's where we come in, but you also can't just put it at the airport. It's got to be miles out to give you situational awareness. So this is why we need to incentivize others to install these, and that's where the DPIN comes in. So we're going to have 20 units in the next few months, and we have a deal with the University of Tulsa. So we're launching, press releases going out soon. That's going to be the first drone zone as a service, where we're going to have for a week a bunch of drone delivery, survey, security companies that actually have drones and come in and use our, we'll have Gargoyle systems throughout the campus, and we'll be practicing deliveries, all the things that come with this new advanced mobility, hopefully some of those little flying cars and whatnot. And this is where we test our drone zone as a service and use the token. So real quick, there's three personas. There's the NFT holder who buys the hardware ahead of time, may never see it. Unlike Helium, where you're both, you could be both. And then there's the node host. So we will incentivize people to put these on the roofs. Churches are high points. So we're going to need a node system. And then also the subscriber. Now, this is the data for the security data. Or if you're using it drone zone as a service and you want to enable part of your city to have this, and now you're taxing Amazon to come through and do deliveries, this is how you can monitor those. So that is Gargoyle Systems. Thanks for watching.
All right. Right, guys, let's bring Mike on stage. What is going on? How are you, Mike? Welcome. Muted.
Hey, I'm well, thanks.
Awesome. Well, Mike, that was a great presentation. I know that Shai has a thing for drones, and I think there's going to be a lot of questions here. We had you on a previous episode when we were live in New York City. I thought that was great. You shared a lot of insights. So I guess Leonardo, Shai, Aaron, all yours.
Hey, I'll jump in. I'm a bit of a drone fan. Of course, you can't see the background, but there's a whole bunch of FPV drones and DJIs and stuff like that behind me. Well, so on that note, the industry is moving towards a lot of silent, more quiet propellers. Can you share a little bit about your biggest challenge in the acoustic detection?
Yeah, acoustic detection. We're using a combination of testing in our own sound labs of whatever drones that we can get our hands on, but then also using YouTube videos and kind of using AI to collect as much of those sounds as possible to be able to feed into the algorithm. So it's been a bit of a challenge. So we're initially kind of just starting with a lot of the mainstream DJI ones. Most drones that come through, frankly, they're not the ones on tethered, fiber optic or 3D printed ones. Most of them that we're seeing now are the common ones, which are more than 80% of the market, which are the DJI drones. So we're really kind of starting with the DJI drones, and then as we see others come on the market, listen for those as well.
Thank you.
Leonardo,
you're
muted as well.
Okay, need to be a bit more aware of that. Yeah, I'm also very curious, because I feel like your target clientele is really like these Web2 people, like you said, like that don't really care about crypto, that don't really care about DePIN. They want security, they want kind of like working tool sets that would help them do their own like services, etc. What was your starting point with where you decided to work with? So you mentioned, casinos, hotels, etc. I'm sure like you need to focus first on particular sectors and then you can expand just to make it more sustainable. I would really like to hear, your kind of like step-by-step anticipation in that regard.
Yeah, this was not meant to be a crypto project by any means. So initially it was kind of like just Ring for drones and it solves your problem. And then we found out quickly is including the hotels and the conferences and the concerts, they want to know not just where they have control. So you only have control over your own perimeter, right? They want to know like 2 miles out, is there a swarm coming across from there? So LaGuardia is like, hey, it's great, but can we go out as far into Long Island? Because if there's something coming, we don't want to, it can't just be, it's too late if we're only monitoring our fences. So how can we extend that, right? And when you start thinking about drones, they're decentralized by nature, right? Airplanes have landing strips. They have places they go. Drones don't. They're completely decentralized by nature. So, just like fire detection, right? Like a weather station isn't going to detect a fire in a house. We need smoke detectors in every house. So we need a lot of detection across the sky. And this is where it's like, I worked, had the helium and HiMapper and every other DePIN thing as soon as they came out. Realized like really quickly that we need to incentivize to expand that network. So it's like, oh, great, you could subscribe and just have your perimeter, which is what most houses, most HOAs want, the security casinos, but some do want expanded. And that's when it's like, all right, let's create this as a service that they can expand that, but we need node owners to be able to do that.
Right. Because I feel like the biggest barrier for DePIN is that you need coverage everywhere. And that's very, very difficult to achieve. Are you going to like start with certain geographies? Because I know you have like your testing ground in the camp, but that's just like, like the first phase of everything. Once you actually like launch and get out into the real world, I feel like you'll need certain geographies maybe that you will start with. Do you have particular preferences there?
Yeah, there's 2 cities that are really interested, Reno and Richmond, and they're about the right size. Reno's really ideal because it's kind of a circular area and the casinos are willing to pay for it. So as are the police. So that's kind of like where we're kind of starting, kind of like Uber did, one city and then kind of expand it from there, is really get that. So we're super early, right? So we are first doing the university campus and then going to expand to a city and maybe even Tulsa, the city itself. They're going to be at our demo there. So smaller cities at first so that we can prove the model and then expand, but we're baby steps right now.
Oh, very interesting. Thank you. Just one last question from my side, and
Sure.
I'll let other judges take over. But I'm very curious. Like, have you discovered any particular pain points, either like going like the crypto deepen route, or even like with the tech itself that you didn't anticipate?
Sorry, was the second question with the what itself?
With the pain points, like either like with the crypto side and deepen side, of like incorporating the two, or purely from the tech side, that's
exciting.
some bottlenecks that you didn't expect to encounter.
Not necessarily. Again, we're pretty early with the token. We haven't built anything yet. We've been kind of running some test models and whatnot on it, so we haven't built out the full token model yet. So we haven't. And again, I've done a few projects before on chain, so I'm familiar with it. So nothing yet there. The check has kind of been just getting it. We've got the units getting built in Kosovo now, and then kind of like when we're shipping them and all that. So it's taking us, more time than expected to build hardware. So that's kind of been the first thing. But so far, it's been good. And again, we have these first 20 models coming in June, so we're very excited to receive them, play with them, and they're getting tested now. So we haven't really gone, again, being super early, we've got our first alpha version here. We haven't had any problems yet.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Super interesting.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Nice. Aaron, what do you think?
Yeah. So you mentioned, I think, comparing yourself to Helium in the way that Helium, the device deployer, also owns the NFT, whereas I think you're saying that you're going to have the NFT holder and the device owner be separate. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So what we found is a lot of Helium owners have 500. We know one that has 5,000 units that are in storage that they were like, oh, these are going crazy. Let's get them. And then they have nowhere to deploy them. So it's great. It's a good cash flow product if it's up and running and it's working, right? So the idea is, let's say we roll out in Reno, you can buy 20 of these from wherever you are. And we're now going to give them to the node hosts, incentivize them, and you're going to split the revenue. So you paid for it. As many as you want, and now you've got a cash flow product that hopefully pays for itself over 2 years, and then it's just mailbox money. And then the hosts themselves are also earning by hosting the units on their roofs. And then the real difference is there. And now you're whitelisted. So we're going to Dallas next, and we need about 400 to cover Dallas. If you want to buy 30 of those, you're whitelisted because you also bought in Reno. So kind of like the NFT model of like, oh, you got this one. The next edition's coming out. You can buy and kind of invest from there. So that's ultimately what we want this to be, as a cash flow product for those who are buying the units. And then the node hosts are a little different, right? Because they need to be strategically cover their hex. So we've got our hex grid that we're going to need to fill in the blanks and find out, who's where to be able to fill those in. And that's kind of similar to, a solar model where like, hey, if you put this on your roof, you're going to earn from it, but we're not asking you to pay for it.
So that's my question there is, how then do you find the node hosts? Because isn't that the point of Deepen, is to try and get people to do this in a decentralized way to deploy? I understand what you're saying, where strategically you want to have these things placed, but then let's say this is the correct location. It could be above my house, for example. How do you get me to agree to that?
Yeah, it's the same. I mean, like, it's, hey, do you want to buy it and own it yourself and you earn double, or we're marketing towards those that are there. And there's also creative ways of doing this, right? So we figured between Mateo, my co-founder, and I in Brooklyn, there's 12 churches that all have the highest points within us, and that covers essentially the entire area over here. So we can also kind of go and market towards them and say, hey, like, if you put this in your roof, you're going to earn. No one's going to ever see it, and it's going to be in there earning away. So there's the combination of kind of I don't want to say the degen, but like hey, I need to fill this map. There's a spot here for me, but there's also, we're going to need to find pockets where, if those degens don't exist, that we're going to need to incentivize those to put them on the roofs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's not too many projects in Deepen doing that model. I've seen a couple, and I'm excited to see how it unfolds, because it's definitely an interesting approach, separating the NFT holder again from the actual deployer of the hardware. So excited to see.
Thanks. It's early.
I just want to jump in real quick. Thank you for those questions. So Mike, I'm curious similar to the acoustic question before, on the radio side, are there challenges in encrypted communications being used by some of these either commercial drones, maybe potentially more military drones, versus the open source stuff that I fly? Is there concern with any kind of encrypted communications when it comes to radio detection?
Yeah, I mean, we're never going to claim to have cover everything and be able to detect everything, right? But we are using software-defined radio to scan, right? So the ability to go to cover as many channels as possible. That's not saying there's going to be some government channels that they're operating on that we won't be able to detect. But again, we're starting out with the mainstream ones to be able to see, like, the most of the DJI and the most common ones now. But yeah, we're gonna have to expand continuously. But we're starting again simple with, okay, we know this is a DJI Mavic, and that's what we're on 2.4. That's how we're starting.
So thank you for that detail. So now bringing the two questions together on the acoustic detection and the radio detection, have you experimented with node operators supporting enriching that data model? Because they're out there in the field, there's drones flying them overhead all the time. Is that something that you foresee sort of the community helping enrich that model?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So understanding exactly the path that it's on, the geolocations, the angle of arrival, everything. The G1 that we're starting with is just radio frequency. So that's what we're doing at the University of Tulsa. These are all just legit drones. These ones are using remote ID. And these are again friend drones. But then we expand to add the acoustic to detect the faux drones as well. At least know where they're there. But yeah, the more we have, and the G2 is obviously a better product in terms of a higher incentive because you're going to be able to pick up more. And then we've got potential partners that want to add optical to it, right? So then that's more on the roadmap of like, all right, the better model you have, the more rewards you're going to get because you're going to be able to get more data. And then also open source that. Like, we really don't want to be in the hardware business ourselves. We're launching our product up front just to get the ball rolling. And we also have a backlist of customers that want, again, just the My Zone. That's how we're starting. But ultimately, we want to be open source where people can create their own hardware and detect as much as possible.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. And thanks, Mike. We're at time, but that was super insightful. If you guys want to get in touch, Mike, what should they do to get in touch with you guys?
Just hit me up. I'm Multi-Chain Mike on Telegram and Twitter, so you can find me anywhere.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. See you next time.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Let me just bring Mike off stage. And up next, we have DeCharge.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mohan. I'm the founder and CEO of DeCharge. At DeCharge, we are building the autonomous energy economy. We're building the decentralized, intelligent EV charging network that is designed for the future of mobility, where every vehicle, every robot, and every drone can charge itself, transact autonomously, and operate sustainably. With the exponential growth of the EV industry and the rapid adoption of EV vehicles, we're seeing a huge gap between the infrastructure and the vehicles. In some cases, the gap is so large that there's one charger for every 35 to 40 vehicles. This is a massive bottleneck, and as the adoption increases, the problem is going to be that the traditional charging models, which are centralized, are going to become expensive to scale, and this will not support autonomous fleets or drones or logistics systems to scale and function efficiently. This gap threatens the entire momentum of the EV revolution. At DeCharge, we saw firsthand how fragmented land access, slow grid upgrades, and underutilized charging time were limiting the EV adoption. Now, with the rise of robotaxis, delivery drones, and machine-to-machine payments, the need for scalable, reliable, and intelligent decentralized energy infrastructure is more urgent than ever. The world is moving towards a machine-powered economy, and energy access is the unblock. So at DeCharge, we're solving this with a dual-prong model. Ultra-fast DC chargers for highways and logistics hubs, and community-hosted DeCharge Beast chargers for daily distributed use. It's a plug-and-play, solar-integrated, AI-optimized, and powered by Web3 incentives. Anyone can host a charger. Users can earn rewards, and fleets can operate reliably across regions. It's a very smart, scalable model which is designed for autonomy and the future of mobility itself. Since we got started, our conviction has converted into validation. So far, we have deployed over 400 plus chargers thanks to our community. We have another 250 chargers in the pipeline. We have scaled rapidly to Southeast Asia, India, United States, Europe, and Middle East. So far, we're serving over 25,000 vehicles across multiple fleets and partnered with top logistics players. And we make money from every unit of electricity sold. So we are the perfect example of having a real world utility and Web3 incentives. And with revenue shares from fleet partners, charging fees from users, and the multi-stream incomes from hosts, our go-to markets is hyperlocal, and we are deploying fast through community hosts, fleet partnerships, and urban network clustering. Our biggest differentiating factor would be that unlike slow-moving or capital-heavy networks, we are decentralized and permissionless. This allows DeCharge to scale really fast by enabling community ownership. Our algorithms ensures that we place chargers exactly where they're needed. We use advanced data analytics to map buyer demand versus charging demand. Our vision is to lay the rails for the new machine economy, a world where energy is decentralized, where autonomous vehicles charge themselves, and where every user becomes a node in a self-sustaining energy marketplace. At DeCharge, we're looking to power highways, cities, fleets, and of course the future. Our core team blends expertise across hardware, blockchain, and infrastructure. I am Mohan Panada, founder and infrastructure builder turned deep in pioneer. My co-founders, Prakash and Ramakrishna, lead Web3 systems integration and operations respectively. We have recently closed a 2.5 million seed round from Lemniscap, Colosseum, EV3, and other Web3 leaders. These funds are accelerating our expansion to over 5,000 plus locations, helping us scaling operations and pushing forward our autonomous infrastructure stack. Our milestones are very exciting. We are looking to launch at over 5,000 locations in Q2. And then we're also looking at beginning our robotic charging pilot and also expanding very fast into international markets. That's it for now. And thank you for listening in. Appreciate your support.
I have never seen anybody pack this much information in 4 minutes. Let's bring him up on stage. Mohan, how are you, man?
Hey guys, all good. Thanks for bearing with me. I had to pack a lot of stuff, so I did like 1.2x, guys. But thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for the platform.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Judges, go ahead. Any questions? Let's go.
Mohan, can you maybe talk? We saw a little bit at the end there of what looked like a carport that somebody was pulling into. Can you kind of clarify what some of these initial customers are like? Are they private residential carports that we saw? Are they apartment carports? Is it malls and commercial locations? Can you kind of identify some of these initial use cases and customers?
So we have acquired a wide range of customers right now in the US, in Europe. So our first initial low-hanging fruit were malls, because they had initially they had a challenge. The problem was that they had very large parking spaces in prime areas of the city, in middle of suburbs and center of cities, but those parking places were not really monetized. So what we did is we went to them and said, look, why don't you just install one of our chargers, and then it becomes a revenue generating space. Because now what they're also doing is we're working on a pilot with some malls where we're looking to charge monthly rentals for people to come and charge, and that includes charge up a certain amount of charging as well. So malls, RWAs, and especially large universities, these are really fast adopting customers right now.
Cool, thank you.
Can you talk a little bit?
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Aaron.
No, it's okay. You go first.
Okay. And I'm wondering, how much does it cost for you internally to keep producing the products, and also how much does it cost for customers, kind of the initial paying the initial payout plus like maintenance?
Okay, so we have our own assembly line. So the cost is really a function of volume. Right now, it doesn't. Right now, we have really good margins because we are a community deployed company, and then the margins actually go back into boosting the community and then into the token. So that's great. But for the customers, when we're selling at $549 the Beast charger, and it's a very simple plug and play system that they can install within the hour. And maintenance is basically next to nothing. There is no maintenance. We have warranty for 2 years, and then we take care of servicing. And if something goes wrong, God forbid, and if it stops working, we have a no questions asked replacement. We don't even bother to repair. We just replace it because it's more efficient for us to do that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, go ahead, Aaron.
What was the charger that we saw there? Was that the Beast?
Yeah, what we did is we've integrated the Beast with the robotic charging infra. Is that the question or the one with the bike? Because the one
The
with the
one with
bike
the
is the
bike.
bike was the mini. Bike was
Got
the
you.
mini. Yeah,
And then the
but the
Beast
one with
was
the
the.
robotic
Go
one.
ahead. Sorry, so we were talking at the same time. So the Beast was the like the futuristic looking one. Is that correct?
Yes, the smiley
With the
one.
smiley face. Got you.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Nice, love it. So can you talk a little bit more about the robotic direction that you're planning to go?
So we are convinced that so most of the companies are building for humans, right? I mean, but we are already we know that the advent of EV is inevitable, right? I mean, while competitors and others in this game are building for just building chargers for growth, we're building for the energy internet, and the way we're doing it is we want to make every charger intelligent, autonomous, and then it's owned by people and not really by monopolies. The reason why we are building in that direction is because we know that we want to build for the machine economy, especially when you look at robo taxis, when you're looking at self-driving cars, again drones. All of these require consistent charging infrastructure. And again, the best example I always say is today we are looking at cars as a cost center, because you buy a car, it's a depreciating asset. You drive to work, you park it, and then you forget it for the rest of the day. But robo taxis are going to change that. It's going to become a revenue generating asset. It's going to drop the owner and it's going to go start making money. Let's say it's 80 or 100 miles out and it's out of charge, then it requires charging infrastructure. And if we have a human intervention there, which means either we go to charge it, that's out of question, it defeats the purpose. Or if we have to have someone man this charging station, that also defeats the purpose. And this extends to also other vehicles, right? It's not just cars, it's built for robots, it's built for drones, it's built for EV tolls. The only thing that will change is instead of having a Beast 7 kilowatt, you'll have maybe a 200 kilowatt or a 400 kilowatt or a 1 megawatt charger. But the function of plug and play remains. So when this use case comes in, we want to encourage this entire machine economy, the machine to machine transaction, and we're building everything on chain. So when, let's say, a vehicle pulls up to the charger, they can authenticate themselves, and through the API, once the authentication is received, then the vehicle port opens like we've seen in the video, and then the plug happens. And after the transaction is done, which means the charging is complete, there's a wallet to wallet transaction and it's recorded on chain, so that we know that it's not compromised. This is the only way the future is going to scale out. And the bigger question here is, why do we think that it's going to be electric and not fuel? Because if it's going to be a machine economy and a self-driving car revenue asset, it has to be electric, because that's where the money is. Fuel based cars don't give you that kind of ROI.
Understood. Now, how far are we from this robotic charging? For your station being released, and then just in general, the robotic charging future or robotics future.
We are very close to deployment. Actually, the video that we have seen is a live demo that we did. It's right now being tested in production. I can't tell you the exact location, but maybe in a few weeks we'll announce it on our Twitter handles. We are deploying one of these chargers in a large mall in Maryland, in the US. So it's very close. It's probably months away to full production. Of course, it'll still be under close monitoring for a few months, but it's there. It's there.
Amazing. And you mentioned working towards 5,000 locations. How many locations do you have now?
So right now we've crossed 600 plus locations. 400 of them have been installed, and 250 are in the pipeline right now. So the beautiful thing is, just in the last 1 week, we have closed over 210 locations. So we are consistently growing really, really fast. And month on month, right now we're building this pipeline. We have a very robust sales team, looking to do about 500, 600 sales a week. So I think by September, we should be over 5,000 locations globally.
Interesting. You have a sales team. Can you get a little bit deeper into that? Because I suppose that's more like going to the malls and going to these like kind of B2B sales, as opposed to just getting a bunch of people on Twitter to deploy these charging stations.
Yeah. So again, when we take a step back, we have to build this as an infrastructure thing, right? I mean, if you strip all of the Web3 angle of and crypto out of this, it's a very strong passive income generation stream. But it's our responsibility to make sure that all of our community members also have access to chargers which are deployed at high traffic locations, so that they can actually realize that kind of income, and overall generation of revenue happens consistently, versus just going to the community and saying you buy it, you deploy it in your home, which is also okay. I mean, it's not that bad. But what we are doing initially is adding a lot of power pack into the initial first 5,000 deployments, where we're looking at high traffic areas, like high volume areas where we know there's going to be a lot of traffic and there's a lot of strategic demand. So it's tactical deployment. So once we get these B2B deals done and install it there, we then offer it back to the customers, to our community, saying you can buy one of those. They can own it. So they're still owning the charger. It's very similar to what Mike was saying in Gargoyle. They can own the charger. Real estate is provided by the partners because they need it and their customers need it. And then revenue is shared and everyone's happy. It's like saying that you have either we have 100% of a $1 pie or 10% of a $150 pie. You know, like that's the value we are kind of creating right now.
Awesome.
And
And
does
then-
one device charge? Does one device charge like another device, or can it like cater up to like a few at the same time?
So we have different, so our catalog is quite large. Actually, we're making some very interesting announcements. I think now might be a better way to reveal. Sorry, Doc. So we are announcing a 5G powered charger next week. We're also announcing our 120, 200, and also a 500 megawatt kilowatt charger. Sorry, not megawatt. I wish megawatt. And the fast chargers come with dual guns, which means that you have two charging ports and can power two vehicles. But anything up to 21 kilowatts, which are safe for home installations. In the US, it's 11 kilowatt. That is what the grid can sustain. Those come with single gun, and they can just power a single vehicle at one time.
Right. And I mean, I understand the utility of using like crypto behind it, you know, like with the community side of things, decentralization, actual storage of, you know, not being compromised with the information, etc. But I feel like in Web 2, would it be possible to execute something to like a closed level without crypto, in your view?
See, the thing is, it's actually a very good question. There is two ways to look at this. Either we centralize the whole thing and say that we are building it from a HQ, right? And then that doesn't require crypto at all because there is no need for incentives, and then we're just deploying it ourselves. I mean, it's a very straightforward Web2 business model, and we still have multi-billion-dollar companies who have done really well in Web2. But the thing is, the internet wasn't. If we take the approach, at least that's our take. If we build the approach from taking it from a HQ, the internet as we know it today would not have been possible if it were built from a HQ perspective. So what we're doing is, instead of building chargers, as I said, we're building the energy internet, which means that we want it to be decentralized. And that is giving us the function of growth. And if you look at it, I'll just very quickly summarize it. If you look at it that way, a centralized company will always have a barrier because it's all the money is coming back to them, right? All the revenues are coming back to them, but they're always limited by geography or capital. But for something like someone like us, we are not limited by any of those because the community can grow fast and we are growing as function of network, which is fantastic. And crypto incentives are very important because we want all early adopters to be very, very rich.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Thank you.
Awesome. Mohan, Shai had 2 questions, but we gotta need you at 1.3 or 1.5 speed to answer them because we're out of time. So Shai, please go ahead, and Mohan, like maybe take a minute to answer them both, or just give like a quick hint or an overview, and then we're gonna move on.
Yeah, so Mohan, a quick one is you have e-bikes taking up a lot more space, and we're seeing a lot more e-bikes. What's the go-to-market around e-bikes?
So we're working with fleets. There are a lot of fleets, last mile deliveries, and hyperlocal and instant commerce. They're all using e-bikes, like pizza deliveries to commerce deliveries. There's going to be a lot of e-bikes, and they all need constant charging. But the thing is, each bike takes about 3 hours to charge because it can only be slow charger. But what we're doing is we're introducing something called micro boost. Because of our deepen and the ability for community installing chargers in a distributed way, What currently is happening is the bike users, bike riders, are charging in microboost 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 18 minutes, and then continuing throughout the day. So they're paying micro payments, but they're fully charged, connected all day, and they're all happy. We're all happy. In fact, we've done close to more than about 250,000 minutes in the last 10 days just through bikes of charging.
Awesome. Awesome. That was great. Thank you. I love the 1.3. Thanks for sharing this with us, Mohan. If anybody
Thanks.
wants to get in touch with you, what should they do?
I'm on Twitter, mponada, or just follow us on DeCharge. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much for being back, and hopefully see you soon.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. Thanks for your questions. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, guys. So next up, we have Traxa. I'm just going to play the video, and then we'll bring Chris Hoot up here on stage with us.
Hi, I'm Chris Mock-Hoot, council member of Traxa DAO, a DAO LLC based in Wyoming. After years of building real-time tech in ports and terminals, I saw a major blind spot in global freight visibility. Traxa solves that by using decentralized infrastructure, real-world data on-chain, a real DePIN model in action. In 2024, over 20 million containers moved across the US, but only 6% of logistics companies had full visibility. DHL, FedEx, and UPS have nailed tracking, but only for their internal networks and only at retail tier pricing. That covers 10% of global freight, the other 90% completely untracked. We're bringing Track Your Package to the rest of the logistics world. Traxa is a decentralized physical infrastructure network, or DePIN for short. We use existing cameras, phones, dash cams, truck stops to capture container sightings in the real world. AI extracts a container ID, GPS, and timestamp. It's minted on-chain as a proof of location NFT, stored on chains such as IOTX and Polygon. Producers earn Traxa tokens. Consumers pay to access verified movement data. Traxa takes a small commission. So do people want this? Absolutely. In just 45 days of running a simple search ad, we saw clear demand from shippers and freight forwarders, even customs agents, all searching for one thing: how to track containers. There's no clear solution for this segment until now. Traxa fills that gaps with open, verified data delivered instantly on-chain. Let me show you how it works live. This is the Traxa.io website. From here, we can go down to a live marketplace demo. This is our working MVP of an app on trackmycontainer.io. For instance, we could search for a container or just click some of the most recently scanned containers that were scanned and captured by a single camera located at the inland port of Utah. You'll see here real verified records such as timestamp, GPS, producer ID, and even an image of the asset. Here's an example of the Polygon contract address that is actually associated with this particular image. You view that image on our Weave. We go a little bit further, we can scroll back into the actual interface of the Track My Container website and view the actual data store. There's actually over 43,000 scanned assets from a single camera located in Utah. Imagine that decentralized across millions of containers around the globe, and this decentralized supply chain visibility at people's fingertips, and it's alive today. No one else is doing this with DePIN. Project 44 and 4Kites are centralized SaaS providers. Their data is closed, access is limited. Traxa is open. We reward data creators, and we build public infrastructure, not enterprise lock-in. We start in Georgia, home of the Port of Savannah. Then we expand throughout the Southeast and nationwide by 2027. With IOTX's support, we'll accelerate our Web3 infrastructure, grow our producer network, and scale regionally container visibility. We are asking IOTX to help us expand this DePIN ecosystem starting in Georgia. Funding will drive core development, NFT indexing, and token-powered incentives for data producers. Let us bring container visibility to the 90% who never had it before. This isn't just an idea, this is execution. The Traxa team brings deep expertise across supply chain logistics, government policy, economics, fintech, and both Web 2 and Web 3 development. We are not here to experiment, we're here to deliver the future of freight visibility. Learn more at www.traxa.io. Thank you for watching.
That was compelling. Let's bring him on.
Hey guys.
What's going on, Hoot? How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Thanks for the opportunity.
For sure. I wish of a world where all of you guys would be in production, and I think the world would be a better place. But let's go ahead and start with Shai, Leonarda, Aaron. Any questions? Do it.
Yeah, my first question actually, because you use cameras, for like geolocations, etc., wouldn't it be more convenient and maybe cheaper to integrate already existing solutions like GeoNet, HiveMapper, etc., than to create like your own devices and cameras, etc.?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The whole, I only had 4 minutes. So the idea is any camera, anywhere, any network. So one of the challenges, HiveMapper is a great potential partner. They collect a ton of data globally. What do they do though with it? Yeah, they're competing with Google Street Maps. We actually have a value prop opportunity that those HiveMapper producers of data can actually be monetized directly for the data they produce. And that's really the compelling argument behind Traxa is people owning their data, generating their data, and monetizing their data.
But couldn't they implement that internally as well?
Yes, within just HiveMapper's dashcam infrastructure, and that is the underlying problem. There's actually been use case after use case of these kinds of networks all geographically being isolated. So the larger carriers, for instance, the big ship companies like CMA, CGM, and Maersk, they think they're the biggest show on the block, but they forget about all of the other providers such as Hapag Lloyd. And then you work on the technology companies like IBM or Google or Microsoft. Do they all want to work together and share their data? No, they want to keep it in their closed ecosystems. The whole concept behind Traxa is to empower data monetization and sharing. You created the data, you own the data. In the same vein that decentralized social networks happen, none of that is happening on the supply chain, and it's basically creating data silos.
So you do consider like Traxa as this kind of aggregator at the end of the day?
Yes, Traxa being an aggregator of supply chain data and visibility, and it's not even restricted to even containers. I mean, there's a need for this across even fish. It blew my mind. There's all these different commodities in the supply chain that aren't traceable, aren't trackable. People are not incentivized to actually provide good data about these assets.
So then you don't like build your own cameras as devices. You just utilize other networks and their devices.
That is 100% the implementation. The state of Georgia is doing it. State of Virginia is doing it. State of California is doing it. They're all creating their own data silos, and they're all persisting to create that problem that only this solution, Traxa, is as a decentralized data store of people's supply chain information.
Oh, that's super interesting. I feel like aggregators have performed very well in crypto just for exactly that reason, to bringing like interoperability and like more utility for end users. So no, interesting. Thank you so much. I'll leave it up to other judges.
So this is again, it's just curiosity. There's a lot of container fraud in general in the industry, right? So both on the shipping side of like where it's going, and you guys are tracking where the containers are going. What are you doing to help the industry curve some of that fraud, both from just the outside of the container, and then if you can talk about anything that happens to the actual container itself, right? Whether it's damaging it, breaking into it, stuff like that that's happening inside the container, and eliminating some of that internal container fraud. How are you guys tackling or thinking about those two?
So it all starts with good data. When you know where your stuff is, you can actually literally make these kinds of decisions. So everything from if you're just an independent trucker dropping off a load and putting it in that facility, or putting it at that warehouse, at that drayage yard, at that port, what's your proof that you actually did that action? What's your proof that you actually put it in there? Right now, it's literally handwriting on a piece of paper, what's called a bill of lading, that action took place. There's no actual physical transaction to the digital world proving that event occurred. So across any camera, you could have it from a mobile device, the truckers being able to scan it. You can have strategically placed cameras, such as with the governments on our highway systems. even gamification. We've even done that as well, where you incentivize users just to, if you think of like Pokemon Go kind of aspect, taking virtual reality snapshots of containers and being rewarded with dopamine. There's so many different ways of doing it, to even Hive Mapper. The idea on fraud is you can't fix fraud if you don't know where any of this stuff is. Traxa is trying to decentralize that these silos can take all these different methodologies, be it a consumer app, be it a purpose-built trucker app, be it a port app, be it the government organization app. I use that loosely, which is never an amazing thing to deal with, but all these data silos being able to take their information that they're creating. We're not only facilitating the cameras to be able to create it if they don't have the mechanism, but that same data that if they're already collecting that information, they can't, and they can still own it.
Cool. Thank you.
Last time we spoke, you had a really interesting story about Track My Container site. Do you mind just walking us through that from a product perspective? I thought it was really smart.
Yeah, it was blew our minds. So part of the video that I elaborated on, we were trying to figure out about 2 years ago, and my hat, if I had one, is tipped to one of our contributors, Aaron, for doing this market research study. And it's a very simple kind of thing. You stand up a complete BS website. We called it, I think it was findmycontainer.io at the time. And it just had a search bar. And we paid about $1,000 in Google Ads. Wanted to see who was actually looking for their containers. Well, not only did we learn that Find My Container wasn't what people were putting in Google search, we learned they were actually wanted to find Track My Container. So that's why we have trackmycontainer.io. We had a 25% engagement from the Google Ads to our website. Now, that's pretty cool. But we actually had 25% on top of that 25% fill in the form that had no information in it, entering container IDs to find their container IDs. It was absolutely mind-blowing. The third element of those, I think it was between 10 and 20%, when we actually told them, hey, thank you, but we actually don't have any data. We wanted to see if you would actually click on this link and find it. Would you like to participate in the project? We had, I don't know, it was something like 20 or 30 signups to actually contact them to learn more about the Traxa project with $1,000. It was quite impressive, demonstrated demand. We kept it geographically centered to the US. This problem is pervasive all across the world because that container drives 90% of global domestic product.
Amazing. Yeah, I think it's such a cool story about trying to find if there's true demand there, and really, like you said, market research with just $1,000. It's very, very cool. Just one more question from me, which is just the progress that you've had since ETH Denver and since the last time we saw you. Would love to hear where you guys have gotten since then.
Well, we're still continuing to innovate, always pushing forward. We do a weekly Traxa DAO call to push the DAO forward, participating in all sorts of grant programs. We have some opportunities also with some of the other states here in the US that we're engaging with. Right now, we need funding. We are a volunteer-based organization. We are set up as a DAO LLC out of Wyoming and working on a council basis. So we have key leads that are driving it. I'm one of the volunteers and council members of the council to drive the DAO forward. Our next approach is to really figure out our tokenomics, figure out the chain that we want to officially deploy on, and start actually deploying more of these systems and more of this capability to collect supply chain data and empower people to monetize it.
And partnerships, especially since you mentioned that you're only talking with the biggest kind of projects within the deep in space, IATX, maybe Hive Mapper. I feel like they will be crucial for you to expand.
Absolutely
important, but partnerships is what's gonna get you scaled.
Absolutely, absolutely. Partnerships are where it's all at. I've always been a big fan of it, and it is the way that we help everyone in the supply chain. Going back to even your original Hive mapper analogy, I mean, I've talked to them for probably on and off about 2 years now, as we've been maturing and growing. And this is not a project that's been worked on overnight. We've been at it for 3 years, and we'll still have many more years to go before we actually get the whole thing to fruition. We want to build it right from day one, taking our time, growing it, making more people aware of it, and getting more people involved.
For sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome, Chris. Thank you. That was great. Thanks for sharing the insights, the progress, everything that's been happening for the past 3 months. Yeah, guys, let's thank Chris. Great job. And it's now time for Datagram. I'm going to bring Chris off stage. See you next time. And now Datagram, guys. Last one for today.
Hey everyone, my name is Jason Brink, but a lot of you know me as Bitbender. I'm the CEO of Datagram.network. So, for starters, Datagram essentially is a cloud services provider that is a DPIN for DPINs. We help make DPINs better. Now, what's wrong with DPINs right now? DPINs have a few different problems. The first and biggest problem is that they start, like most things in Web3, from the perspective of supply, not from a perspective of demand. The networks oftentimes are vaporware, tokenomics are broken, there's fragmentation and no standardization, a lot of infrastructure goes to waste both within. Datagram solves all of this by being an AI-driven interoperable hyperfabric network. What we do is we take all of the capacity from latent machines out across the internet, we put them all together, centralize their idle resources, push them into our intelligent coordination layer, and then make them available for demand. This allows for cost savings of 70 to 90%, scaling, it makes things much more resilient and fault tolerant. Obviously, this is an area that is growing, which is why we are all here doing this and building in this space. Our product is extremely easy to use. You can start up and operate a node with just a few clicks. I'll show you some of that, and the products that we've built on top of it so far are also extremely easy and agile. We want nodes to actually do things. We think that it's extremely important that nodes actually do stuff, and so that's what we've created. And without further ado, I'm going to take you over and show you exactly what that looks like. So I will take you here. Whoop. Welcome to our demo. And what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to just create a conference right now. I'm going to go create this. I'm going to copy this. And just so you guys can see that we're doing this, I'm going to hop over to Discord and I'm going to drop this in live. And so people will be able to join from that. I'm going to hop back over to the demo itself. And let's wait for some people to come in. Oh, there he is. Hey, Benz. How you doing, man? Good to see you.
This is the work from home day. Doing very well and a lot of meetings.
Hey man, I know what it's like. I appreciate you for hopping in here. We're just doing a little bit of a demo and thank you for helping. I'm going to go ahead and end the call now. I think mission accomplished, and I'll catch up with you later. We can also run inference across the nodes. Let's see what there you go. This is all AI inference that's actually running in a decentralized fashion across our nodes, which is something that's very cool. So here's our node software. Go to the dashboard. So this is the testnet, and what you will see is tokens coming through. This is data credits being used, and what we'll do is we'll go ahead and click on, no, not data credits. And so this is UDP. This was the first call that I did a few minutes ago. And you can see that tokens UDP was minted, data was burned. So in terms of traction, we've got about 1.2 million users right now. We've taken this all from the perspective of we want to make sure that we are actually building something that people use as opposed to just building a thing and hoping that people will eventually use it. We've got over 200 companies that are currently building on Datagram, most of them using our UDP real-time communication features. We have a very great team. including Dr. William Nguyen, who's been in the industry for literally 30 years, did some of his first work at Lawrence Livermore Labs in the mid-90s on decentralized compute for computational biology. We also have Tiffany, who recently joined us as the from former VP of Ecosystem and Partnerships from Zero G. We have Andy, who is one of the major contributors at Super Team Vietnam, which was one of the largest super teams on the planet. And we have a very talented and wonderful board. And in addition to this, another 45 engineers and marketing people and things like that that make all of this really possible. We currently are in the middle of a funding round, which we're just in the process of buttoning up. We're raising $3 million at a $35 million FDV. Critically, this is all for marketing and not for building. We already have a product live, it works, and we're not trying to go in another direction with it. So, we're moving forward with this. And yeah, so thank you guys very much for taking the time, and I really appreciate it. And this is Bitbender out. I will catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.
Sweet. All right. Let's bring Jason up on stage.
Greetings
Jason,
and
thank you. How's it
salutations,
going?
everyone. How are we doing
Hello,
today?
hello. Good. Thanks for the presentations. I'm sure the judges have a lot of questions, so let's just get right to it.
Hit me. What do you got?
Hi, Jason. Yeah, I'm very curious. Like, would you consider Datagram as like the core structure that will help facilitate other kind of like GPU networks across like the DePIN space? So like what we have with, let's say, Impossible Cloud Network or Filecoin, etc., or is that not complementary in that regard?
I mean, you could absolutely use it to help run nodes based on GPUs, CPUs, whatever it is, whatever your DePIN network does. We're here to help you do. We essentially handle all of the sort of messy, difficult DePIN side of things to allow you to focus on whatever the thing is that you're doing. So if you're doing decentralized music, for example, DePIN's probably not your bag. You're more interested in music and you see DePIN as a way to achieve that. We help you with that by making it so that you don't have to do any of the uptime tracking yourself. We handle all of the uptime and usage tracking. It's all on chain. You can just hit an API, do your distribution from that. We're chain agnostic in that regard. So yeah, we're here to help everybody. I very much want to build an industry that is collaborative and cooperative, and we help each other build awesome stuff.
So are you primarily B2B then?
Yes, we are primarily, well, I call it protocol to business, because the way that I look at this, we've built a protocol that does certain things. Our main focus is helping businesses better serve their customers. When you open up an application, like Uber, you never think, ooh, gee, AWS is really on fire today, because it doesn't matter. You don't care. You just want the thing to work. And that's the same way that we approach this.
So what's your like most primary focus, like that you can, which kind of industries within decentralized network or DePINs you can cater to at best right now, and then what's the plan going forward?
Well, there's two separate things here, and you touched on both of them. One is this concept of helping DePIN networks. Helping DePIN networks is a thing we do to make the industry better. They're not necessarily our customers. We do not charge them for what we provide. What we do is we recognize that most DePIN networks out there started from a supply first sort of perspective. Excuse me, started from a supply first perspective and don't usually have any users. Web3 is a tiny space. And a couple of you tonight have touched on the fact that, you're not building products for Web3 because, all 18 people in Web3 using your product, it's not going to make it a profitable product. You need to engage Web2 and make it something much bigger than that. And so that's really our focus. So our ideal clients are actually Web2 companies. Our 1.2 million users right now, most of them have no idea they're using decentralized Web3 infra because it doesn't matter.
Right. Okay. Thank you. I'll follow up later. I'll let the guys jump in.
Sure. Thank you.
Jason, I'd love to understand the developer journey. If you're coming from that Web2 world and you're very much used to AWS, GCP, and kind of operating with cloud services, what's that journey like coming into Datagram? Is it a heavy lift to rebuild a lot of my applications? Can you give me a little bit more? What can I expect?
Right now it's a little clunky as we're. I mean, obviously not all of this is completely fleshed out, but we want it to be as straightforward as possible. We in every way possible want to emulate the experience of onboarding onto a more centralized cloud platform. 10 years ago, what we're doing wouldn't have been possible because there wasn't enough compute and storage and bandwidth at the edge. But now, with the growth of the power of processing and whatnot, it is actually possible to pull this off. So we want to make it as simple and straightforward as we can.
So you just mentioned the compute at edge. I'd kind of like to ask your perspective then, because we're also seeing a huge investment in Stargate. A lot of these facilities for GPU farms being built by some of the big providers out there. Do you see Datagram and your peers as sort of an alternative to that centralized GPU farm future?
Honestly, I think that's something that is possible. The centralized GPU farms. I mean, obviously, it depends on what you're doing. Okay, if you're doing hardcore AI training and you've got a bunch of H100s or something like that, in racks that are 3 feet apart, you're probably going to keep doing that. But if you're just doing rather simple compute tasks, pushing stuff across GPU networks, it doesn't necessarily have to be in a farm, and you can have something take a little bit longer and have it be much more decentralized, and that the reduction in cost makes up for the slight latency that you would get rather than using a central farm. It really depends on what your use case is.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
My pleasure.
Yeah, I just have a question around. So you mentioned you're trying to raise 3 mil.
Yep.
That you're just wrapping up the fundraising there. So just curious. You mentioned marketing and sales are mostly going to be what you're putting that money towards. I was just wondering, like,
Correct.
is a lot of that your current sales to get those 1.2 million users been inbound or outbound sales that you've been doing?
So we kind of actually did this again from a very different perspective. My entire history in this industry has been, taking sometimes the counterintuitive route. What I did when I originally left my previous company that I was with, I wanted to build in DeepIn. I was tired of being in the gaming space and really wanted to get into the nitty gritty of DeepIn. And what I found is that most of the projects out there do this very badly. And so the approach was to find somebody who was doing it well as a Web 2 company and then help them decentralize their backend. So I worked with my co-founder, Dr. William Nguyen, to basically take the back end of a company that he had been running for years and had decentralized as a way to make it more, decentralized it in terms of its processes, not in terms of its ownership, if that makes sense. And basically took that back end and actually decentralized it and turned it into a Web3 or Web3 project. And so we're able to bring along a large number of users in that process. And so it's mostly been outbound, but then moving over to a decentralized future in that way. So it's not really, they're not necessarily new users that we've gone out and brought in. But they're users of the platform regardless. And all of that feeds into the token economy.
Got you. So what I've found from talking to companies on the Web 2 side is they really have very little understanding of what like decentralization even means. Do you mind walking me through like a pitch that you would give to, or like a sales call that you would have with a potential Web 2 customer?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's very simple. Would you like to save 70% on your current AWS bill? If you would be interested in doing so, check out what we have to offer. In a typical sales call, I will not at all reference decentralization unless it's a factor of this makes it more robust and anti-fragile. The average user is not interested in Web3. The average Web 2 user isn't interested in messing with a token. They want to pay with a credit card. They want to pay with monthly billing. And so we have a special part of our business that essentially takes their fiat and takes a small percentage off the top to cover our costs, and then uses the rest to buy and burn a token so that they get their what would best be described as a premium currency in the ecosystem. We operate on a model similar to the burn and mint equilibrium that Helium does. So there's when you purchase the data credits, those are whatever their value is, and they stay at that value. So if you buy $50 worth of credit, you keep $50 worth of credit. The token itself, though, can fluctuate, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Got you.
We've done everything we can to isolate Web2 users and keep the dirty cryptos out of their consciousness unless they want to be involved in it.
Got you. So really, it is just price that you just focused on there.
It's price. It's more performant in some cases for certain applications. It's massively more secure in terms of no one being able to man in the middle you or snoop on what you got going on. Every time you make a connection through the Datagram network, it's essentially a one-time use VPN tunnel that may or may not ever be configured that way again. So it's really a very robust system, which is why a lot of the companies and agencies and whatnot that use it for their real-time communication. Although that's just one of the things that we do.
Gotcha. So 1.2 million users, but how many actual companies are you working with at this point that are?
I think it's like 208, I believe.
Gotcha.
Something like that. I don't have the exact number right now. That was what it was a few weeks back when I checked.
I'll get it.
And all these are Web2.
Yes. Well, okay. A couple of them are probably like marginally Web3, but mostly Web2.
Cool. Thank you.
Sweet. Jason, thank you. I think we're at time.
My pleasure.
That was great. Yeah, awesome. And yeah, thanks for great seeing you again after Dubai.
I know, right?
Let's keep in touch, and I'm gonna bring you off stage. And yeah, thanks again for the presentation and great answers.
Thanks.
Oh, sorry, I got him off while he was saying thanks. But guys, yeah, let's just take maybe a couple of minutes, just the four of us and I don't know, a few thousand people watching. What do you guys think? I think it was great that we had projects at different stages. Some like Chris, for example, raising. Then we had Mohan, who actually already closed the initial round, and maybe the other guys that are basically just at the very early stages, but still getting traction. So I thought that was quite interesting. It's hard to compare. It's not quite apples to apples, but I think everybody did quite well. What did you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I foresee a future of all three of them working, at least four of them working together, maybe three of them, where you have containers being photographed by drones while the truck is charging itself at the DeCharge station, and then the Traxa is tracking that data as they're going along from both the drone data and the local data that's in the station, and then you have the capturing of that drone data to make sure that that's actually a drone that's supposed to be there to begin with, and then all that data ultimately is getting put on Datagram using Datagram's abstraction layer. So frankly, I think there are four solutions that go really well together. And part of that decentralization future that we want kind of requires these things. You can't have one company that's going to do it all. You're going to have a bunch of little companies that do little things. And the cool thing is that as a community, we're going to decide who works together. So I think that's really empowering what you guys shared with us today. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. And it's funny because we have this I don't know, since we did the episode in New York a few weeks ago, we have this inner joke that we try to put all the projects together that come to an episode, and you just did it instinctively, and it actually worked. It often works. It's pretty amazing.
No, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for sharing with us, Shai. Leonardo, I don't know, did you have anything you wanted to share? Maybe your thoughts on some of these guys?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm very enticed with the deepen space overall. I feel like we're still early, so there are a lot of barriers that a lot of projects need to overcome. So what we've discussed with entry costs for consumers, right, with hardware and kind of middleware development, with actually scaling, because the locations and geographies are very crucial for these type of projects, and that's very difficult to overcome as a newcomer, let's say, to the space, when you're building a new project. That's why I'm always very surprised that still a lot of those projects choose like that kind of siloed approach where they're very isolated. They want everything to themselves. They don't want to, be open source. They don't want to collaborate and integrate other projects because they want to be the best. But that's not how you actually scale the ecosystem, how you scale yourselves and get actual users. So for me, definitely it's very interesting to see founders taking different approaches, actually focusing on the supply. I feel like that was so refreshing to hear, because we also see that in ecosystems as well, right? Everybody wants users, but totally forgets about developers, totally forgets about the people that are actually building the infrastructure, that are going to build the updates and going to attract the next wave of users. So I feel like the same goes with deepen projects when it comes to supply and demand. So I really appreciate that comment from one of the founders. But yeah, no, really enjoyed today's pitches. I feel like there are a lot of things that I want to think about and even, follow up with these founders. And yeah, as Shai said, like, the integration potential there to actually tap into different ecosystems and different spheres is quite massive. So very well done picking these guys together.
Yeah. You know what we should do? We should do maybe a community thing where like people have to basically put together the best application with all the Crypto's Got Talent projects.
That would be awesome. Yeah, definitely.
Sweet. Guys, that's great. I don't know, any other closing thoughts? Maybe Aaron, or I don't know, Shay, you were about to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I would just want to encourage all the builders that are out there, right? That we talk about. I mean, I think Leonardo said, right? There's still so much time in the deep in space, right? Like, don't get distracted by all the price action and the market cap and all those things, right? Just look at the tech and look at the innovators that come on this show, and just recognize how much opportunity there is in the world to get something done, right? I mean, a big shout out to everybody that's here, right? That's finding opportunities in what you would think is, shipping. That should be resolved. There should be no issues. We've been shipping containers for years. We have chargers, and we have these big companies that are out there that are doing chargers. No, there's actually still a lot of opportunities around the world for things that everyday people still need, and that these markets are still underserved. Just because you're in a privileged country like the U.S., don't assume that the rest of the world has the same access to things that you do. And if you have that idea, you have a way to solve it better. Go find a place in the world and go solve that issue.
I love it. I mean, how do we follow that? I guess it's
So well said.
I guess it's just like mic drop and goodbye everyone, and thanks for watching. But Aaron, what do you think? Some thoughts for you?
No, not too much. Just want to say, thank you guys for coming on and being judges again today. We'd love to have you guys back again for season 2 to judge and ask questions and really dig into these projects. But I think tons of potential here, tons of potential last week, and now we're getting to the best of the best here. So excited to see who comes out and wins this thing.
Yeah, exactly. So there is one more semifinal. That's next week, same time, same place, 4 more projects. And then we're off to the finals, which we might have a surprise for. There could be some like interesting final, maybe award ceremony somewhere in the world in real life, but I'm not going to say anything else. Otherwise, I'll spoil it. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us, and see you all next week. Thanks, guys.
Ciao. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Cheers.